So I'm delighted this morning to be with Tim Valder of Mass Report. So Tim, massive thanks for joining me online this morning. Look, just to cover a few things about Mass Reports and who's it suitable for and how developers can reach hold of yourself. So your background comes from KFH, or one of your key parts of your property journey is KFH. Do you just want to go through a little bit of your property journey, which resulted in this platform being created?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. So started off in high street agency, residential, then sort of progressed, found that I was more actually interested in sort of the bigger, juicier sites. So ended up ultimately at KFH, working their land and new homes team. But whilst I was there, as many of you well know, when you reach out to landowners, certainly for the first time, for your legitimate off-market opportunities, that you actually need to do a bit of educating. And what I found, that if I was going somewhere to value it, and I needed to sort of call in a favour from an architect or a planner, that was not only time consuming, but it didn't really back up where I got to. It was more sort of back of fag packet approach, obviously because I was asking for freebies. So what I found was that I needed quite a lot of information to go and manage the client's expectations, manage the buyer's expectations, but also make it, stick when it went to lenders as well. So we created a product in a report format, which basically explains planning policy relevant to what you want to do, and then shows you what you can do and how you can do it, and then other people that have done it successfully as well. So that was the format.
So Tim, do you just want to go? I'm just sharing this online now on Facebook as well. So hopefully people who are tuning on Facebook can see this live. Brilliant. I think it's working. I just have to add a title into this description. So just bear with me one moment. So let me just put Mass Reports as. Do you just want to explain how you came up with the title Mass Reports as well? While I just add that to the title.
Yeah, very, very quickly. It was in conjunction with a partner of mine that does some analysis. He had a company called Mass. Then we thought massing studies is the very crude massing that you get from an architect and a planner. So we just created Mass Reports.
So we will go through some of your slides in just a moment, but some of your clients are quite significant. I put a post out online on Facebook. I think it was this morning. I was just going through some of your clientele. So yeah, we are definitely live on Facebook as well. It's just going to be a little bit of delay in terms of Facebook compared to Zoom. Let me just go back to my Zoom. So that's easier. Well, I watch myself on Facebook as well. So Tim, do you just want to go through some of your opening slides? Just bear with me 2 moments. Let me just give you access to the screen. And let me just give you access, one participant, all participants. Brilliant. You should have access to my screen now, so you can just bring up your presentation online.
Sure.
People are struggling to get in. They say another presentations online, but that's definitely not the case, or shouldn't be. So let me just make sure people know the. That's a little bit of a shame. I was just trying to get the. Sorry, Tim. I was just trying to get the. I can do it that way. That's fine. People are saying they can't get on, but it definitely is on. Just bear with me 1 moment. I'll just update people with this Zoom link. So I know you've got the correct Zoom link, which is great because you're online. So
yep, it's all working.
It's definitely working. So look, I've informed the person who's struggling to get online. So Mass Reports, in terms of who's it suitable for, we're going to go into the conversation and pricing structure as well. So we're going to cover the pricing structure here as well. So do you just want to just go through the first slides?
Yeah, sure. So very briefly, this is me and my partner. So I was a land director, been in agency for 15 years. My partner was the IT director, ultimately for GlaxoSmithKline, 40 years in tech. So he manages the sort of back office tech side of it, and I deal with sort of the B2B and making sure that people are happy with what they're getting. So we started really because I needed to understand what you can get on a site. Problems were that architects can be expensive, only to find out that something doesn't work. And also calling in favours, etc., was a lengthy process, and favours run dry. And when you're reaching out to people for genuinely off-market opportunities, time is of the essence. You know, the amount of times where I went to go and sent someone a letter, they said, yeah, come and see me. But in the meantime, they'd spoken to a family friend who's a developer, and I'd lost the opportunity. So you really need to be really fast on this.
But if we just go back one slide, that is one of the key parts of the software which you're using, which it's not the back of an envelope, i.e. it's a lot more detailed. We're going to see that in just a few minutes on Facebook as well, for those of you joining us via Facebook. Also, I am following on Facebook, so if you do have any comments, feel free to comment on Facebook as well. So, sorry, Tim, to go ahead.
It's okay. Yeah, so really time was of the essence here, and we needed to be able to be quite comprehensive. So we worked out what the minimum amount of information needed was to value the site. A lot of times with valuing the site, the main problem is actually managing the vendor's expectations. So we needed to find what was realistic, i.e. there's comfortable sort of opportunities nearby that have been successful. So we need to find those as well so that you could feel confident taking your numbers to a lender. I'll go into the lenders that we work with slightly later on. And what we wanted to understand was to give enough information so that a developer or a client could understand, in theory, can the land work for them? Because if it doesn't, it's better to fail early. So what was also very important is some people are trying to use a lot of AI at the moment, which is great. We use some, but really when it comes down to analyzing policy and actually working out what we can get on a site, I think humans really need to be massively involved, which is why we set up our team.
So your team, Tim, you just want to elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah, so our team comprises of, so in the back end, it's comprised of a team of architects and town planners. Okay, so what we do is we have of varying qualifications. So our lead architect has got 37 years experience and really sort of only overlooks our much larger sites, etc., ones that are slightly more contentious. And then we right down to people that are fresh out of university. We've even just got someone just coming from Liverpool University, which is great, to come and join us with regards to looking at making development more sustainable. So she's working with us there, which is something that we're looking into quite closely. So that's sort of where we are. We've got a team of just under 40 people that we call upon for our reports. And then we have a front office team, which is myself, my partner, and our administrator, and soon to be our digital marketing.
So Tim, the key thing is it's both residential and commercial. So it's
Absolutely.
not just one or the other. You can do both.
And mixed.
And mixed.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole point was that we could, the very early processes of architecture and really getting stuff through to pre-app is really explaining to the council their own policy. A lot of these policies are 100 odd, we found one the other day, it was 200 odd pages. Really, there's a lot of information in there. We want people to understand that the information is out there, but it takes a hell of a long time to find it. So we've just got people just scouring through the policy to make it relevant to your specific request.
So Tim, in terms of the process, we're going to go into the next slides, which explain the process and how long it takes. Just going through the clients as well. So your clients are not just developers. That's the key thing to add.
No, we started off absolutely for developers. I was a land agent and needed to explain to them what they could get on a site that was either subject to or an option agreement or even uncon. Then that sort of moved into us sort of actually working with architects, so us doing the legwork to begin with, so that then they can spend more time on actually doing the very beautiful drawings and design. What we want to do is give them enough information so they feel comfortable, and certainly their client feels comfortable spending thousands of pounds on some designs that actually might, have got a good chance of going. Then we started working with some asset managers for some very large firms. We've done a report for a Tesco site, working with Tesco on that. Then we also have a very, very large national pub chain that we analyse their underperforming assets and see if development or planning can make their asset perform better, which is incredibly interesting and something that we simply hadn't thought about. We're now working with finance brokers and finance houses directly. We're working with one particular bank on development finance, and they're very happy with our reports. Then that sort of moved on to homeowners, which is a whole new realm that we're working with. So we're working there with Northwood Estates, so they've got 80 odd branches across the UK, and we're also working. Have had several meetings with a very large MLS, which we're quite excited about, but we need to be able to understand what the volume expectations are, etc. And then surveyors as well. Again, we're just doing the legwork for them really, so that they can feel comfortable. All the information we ever find, we only copy and then make it the relevant stuff to what you want to do, and then we'll provide a link at every opportunity, so you can see where we found the information. It backs it up. That's certainly something that surveyors and architects like. So are you happy for me to run into a report? Is that cool?
Yeah, let's go into the report mode. And the key thing to note is the speed is what I would say.
Yeah, I can go into the price and the speed, but by and large, we're about 1/8 of the time that people are used to, and sometimes up to 1/10 of the cost. Certainly with residential extensions, we're doing providing paperwork for their design and access statement for legitimately 1/10 of the cost. So if I just run into this report, so this was actually at a Nimbus. We work in partnership with Nimbus, so we're on there on every single title in the UK on the information bar. Some of you may have seen us there. Basically, I was presenting, and one of the punters in the crowd put his hand up and said, "I've ordered a report." So I was like, "Great! I haven't even finished my pitch yet, but thank you very much." So went to this is it. So this is up in Warwickshire. So basically, bought this land. His wife had some horses, and they bought it as grazing land, but always thought, wow, this is going to be an amazing place to have a house. Overlooks the golf course, 2¼ acres, just a stunning site, really beautiful orientation of the land. So he always thought, right, I'd love to get a house on here. So what we did is this is our standard report. So this report is £150 and back to you in 2 to 3 working days. So it's a traffic light system. Don't need to explain that to you guys, but basically it was in Greenbelt, and he'd had 2 architects locally look at it who'd just gone, it's Greenbelt, it's overlooking the golf course, you'll never have a chance. Oh yeah, someone's just joined us.
Darryl, so Tim, so Darryl, this is on Facebook Live as well, so massive thanks to Darryl joining us, who has a wealth of knowledge in terms of property finance.
Brilliant. Perfect.
A few tech issues this morning.
Yeah, no worries. I think the whole world's trying to do something technology based. Yeah. I've got 2 kids upstairs on about 7 different devices, so it's blame them. Cool.
So we were going through the overview. We haven't quite gone into the full report yet, Darryl, just to give you a heads up. So Tim, do you want to continue?
I don't know how much you've heard, Darryl, but basically a client through Nimbus Maps has come to us and said, 2 architects had looked at it and said, it's Greenbelt, you'll never get anything on there. So he's asked us to look at this, and I'll just whiz you through it. But it's a traffic light system, and within 24 hours, if there's a red, we'll contact you and say, do you want us to carry on? So here's the site. So as I said, beautiful site in the Greenbelt, just over 2 acres. You can see my cursor. Pardon me. Then we'll give you the population statistics nearby. Just information that that is expected in the pre-app and in the design and access statement, really. All the information's out there, so let's put it in. So we'll measure up the site for you as well. Give a few views of the site as well. Again, this is all done remotely. Then we'll give facilities nearby. Now, this is where, so we work with some pub sites and some and with some supermarkets, so they like to know where their competition is. So Tesco like to know where the Sainsbury's and the Morrisons are nearby. But generally speaking, we'll put on here transport, links, and education. But we can add anything on there that you wish. Sometimes if you're taking away amenity space, it's good to flag up where the sports centres are and where the play areas are. Planning constraints on the land. So this is where we're slightly more specific with regards to general information. So as you can see, this is from Warwick District Council. It's all public information. So it lies in the Greenbelt. It's not in the area of outstanding natural beauty. No TPOs. Just relevant information that we can find online. Then the policies start getting quite. This is where the human architects really come into their own. So we'll then go through, trawl the internet, and find the policies that are relevant to what this client wants to do. So this guy wanted to new build on Greenbelt. So we need to go and find all the policy that is relevant to help back up his case. Basically, it's litigation, right? If we can provide all the information for the council, show them where we found it, then it's their own information and it's much, much more difficult for them to contest. So this is all relevant information. Happy to share this at any time with you guys. There's loads of reports on our websites. But yeah, this is where we found information. We'll always put a link at the bottom and then you can see exactly where the information's from and that we haven't just made it up and that it's the council's own words. Then we get into sensitivity of housing. So it's Greenbelt, you've got to look at sort of how sensitive the housing issues are, etc. Again, it's just what the council want to hear. So why not provide it? They've provided it for us. This is where it starts getting really juicy. So the Greenbelt, within the Greenbelt in Warwickshire, there is something called the LCP zone. Now, I'll hold my hands up. I'd never heard of it either, but basically this changed the whole game. We found a policy that meant that you actually can develop in the Greenbelt, but it has to be sensitive to the landscape. So i.e., if you've got a gradient like that, and you're putting a house here, the house cannot protrude that point there, okay? So it's just about placing this property on the site that means that it's not going to have an effect on the landscape. Pardon me, sorry. Then what we try and do is find some comparable planning applications. Now, if there aren't any, we won't provide any. There's some automated facilities that we had one the other day. Brendan won't mind me repeating this, but basically they provided a comp that was, bear in mind he was trying to demolish a house and put 8 flats on there. The comp they provided was for the erection of a neon sign outside a Chinese restaurant. Okay, so totally irrelevant, but that's where computers aren't quite up to speed with humans at the moment. I'm not saying it won't happen, but that's sort of the real struggle at the moment that people are having with automated facilities. So we managed to find on the aforementioned golf course that they'd actually gone for planning permission and managed to get planning permission in 2017, and there's the application. So you can see how they presented it and what it looks like and what they did to get around these issues that would immediately be flagged up from the council. But what was scary was that 2 local architects hadn't known about this application. So this is where local knowledge is brilliant, but sometimes you need someone looking at it on a much, much bigger scale and just, pulling everything apart and finding that needle in a haystack, which, to be frank, this is. So we've now changed the value of the site by 64 times. Okay, then we do an inference. So there is feasibility of, as long as you adhere to planning permission and appropriate mitigation measures. Right, all of that in 2 to 3 working days for £150. Okay, then if you like what we found, if it doesn't work for you, so we've done many, many reports where it's actually, do you know what? There are too many lemons involved in this site. It doesn't work, but I've only spent 150 quid. It's taken me none of my own time. I prefer to fail early if I'm going to fail. So if you like what we do there, then for an upgrade, you can then get, we do you 2 planning massing proposals. So if it's up to 10 units, it's a further £200. And what we'll do for that is provide you here. So we actually realised that with the spacing that was, the precedent was set from the golf course, the spacing we've applied to this site, you can get on quite a few more units. So what we found there is that's how the site might look. And then this is where we give you some sort of idea of how much your build might cost. Now, I don't know your pound per square foot on build. I don't know the GDV. We don't really want to get into that. But using these numbers, you can work out what you need to deliver at shell and core and what you need to deliver at full build out. And then you can work out your numbers, okay? Then you can work out if it even works. Then we'll give you some massing studies here. So this actually shows you the density. These are really, really powerful. Certainly if you're in a more populated area, then we can show you where the other properties are around it. And then we have a CGI video there that I'll go through shortly. Then we do another proposal. So he wanted a whacking great big house here as well. So this one actually I think comes out as something ludicrous like 13,000 square foot, but he wanted a big house that was, you know, very much a statement home overlooking the golf course, you know, etc., etc., parking for 7 cars, etc., etc. So this is where we're sort of client led, and he was really sort of, yeah, I think the footprint there is 437, so that works out, and based on 3 stories is 13,500 square foot, nigh on. So bit of a chunk, but you know, you can work out whether it works, and then you know you've got all the garaging, etc., etc. So that comes back to you, and here's how it would sit, and that comes back to you up to, so if you do the full thing from the outset, that's 350, including the first report. If you want to upgrade it, we'll absolutely just take away the initial cost, and then 10 to 20 units is £500 in total. And then anything over that is price on application. Generally speaking, we'll be back to you, I'll just say comfortably within 5 working days. We've had a bit of a squeaky bum time recently with the changes that we've had to make back office. But I'd say comfortably 5 working days. If it's a larger site, we've just done one for a 15 title assembly down in Surrey for a national house builder. And that we managed to get 420 units on there, and that was 1,800 quid. So that's sort of our bread and butter report. That's how we started. That's how I want that. This is the information that I wanted to be able to take to my vendors, my buyers, and their lenders, so that they can see, do you know what? Actually, yeah, this is reasonable. There are comps there. There are precedents there. This is a feasible proposal. Then we've come up with an extension report, which is for homeowners. I'm happy to go through that if anybody wants to contact me, or we could do a totally different presentation for homeowners, where we basically show you what your neighbours have done, show you see what you want to do, show you what your neighbours have done, show you some floor plans. Then we can take it into some quite cool CGI stuff. That we've set up a CGI company as well, specifically for architecture. We also do commercial reports, so we're in talks and had very, very good talks with probably the largest land search facility in Europe, Dacia, just sort of working out whether our product can sit together, but it seems the conversations are going well. So this is our CGI stuff. So once you've decided on what you like, this is specifically for extensions, or if you're looking to sort of get some marketing done for your brochures, you can choose the flooring, the sofas, the kitchen units. There's the steel beam for the extension. There's the trees in the garden. We've even mown your lawn. It's just making it all look really good for presenting. And also, a lot of times with the council, if you can sort of present to them something that takes away any questions in their mind, like giving visuals, we find that works quite a lot. Interestingly enough, we've got a lot of clients in the Channel Islands, and with every planning application now, you need to provide a CGI exterior video for every single full application, so that the council can see what your application is going to look like and how it's.
Tim, can you just say that last bit again about CGIs are required where?
In the Channel Islands.
Okay, so that's interesting to be fair, because I have to admit I didn't know that. Obviously, little of my audience is Channel Islands. That doesn't mean it might not happen in the rest of the UK either.
I think if you're looking at slightly contentious stuff, i.e., let's use the affordable threshold for an example. If you're going for over 10 units, I think the councils might start saying, look, how's this going to affect our street scene? What's it going to look like? And that's when CGI is going to come into play. I don't dream that anyone would ever need to do anything to this standard, pardon me, but I think that it may well become a necessity, if not a necessity, a really, really powerful tool to use as the applicant to get things going through. And so that's our feature. So these are our partners. So we've created a product with Whitebox, pardon me. We're working, as I said, we're fully integrated with Nimbus Maps. We are, I'm presenting at PPN, which is great. I've had some really successful ones sort of in the Midlands, which is perfect, and looking to do some in London as well, and one in Bristol. We were approached very recently by Geovation, which was quite cool. So that is a partnership between LandReg and Ordnance Survey, basically an incubation tank to try and help PropTech or property and tech companies sort of come together and work together, which is really exciting. So I'm very, very proud to say that we are, fully in with them now, which is awesome. And then, like I mentioned earlier on, Northwood Estates, so 80 estate agencies across the UK, we are working with them for a fully branded report facility. So that's really, really exciting as well. So that's sort of what we're up to. What I love to do is to talk to people more specifically about a site that they're looking at. So I can show you something that we've done previously so they can see how relevant it is to what they're doing. But yeah, ultimately, we are very, very inexpensive, very, very fast, and we're working with some really cool people who believe what we're doing. So that's us.
Daryl, while we've got Tim, I just want to say massive thanks for that presentation. Both my first time on Facebook and also using Zoom as the organic method or whatever method you call it. Daryl comes from a funding background. Daryl, twofold, because we've got people on Facebook as well. So I just want to, I know it's not a dedicated slot for you, but maybe we can take one or two questions or statements. So,
yeah, what I would just add very quickly, I haven't seen your product before, Tim, but I mean, it looks fantastic. The many clients that I've spoken to over the years, identify opportunities and they're not quite sure whether they can or can't get the planning. And it just kind of makes me think about the amount of energy and time that goes into kind of trying to shape a deal before you even really know if you can get what you're looking to do approved. So I think, for 150 quid to go and kind of get a quick, looks like probably works or doesn't work before you kind of spend all that time and energy is really valuable.
Cool. Yeah, thank you, mate.
So I was going to say, Daryl, to you, Tim, you were going to say something before I cut in, sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, that's exactly what we needed to do. If something's not going to work, let's find out early, If there's a massive reason for it not to work, and similarly, if someone's done it just down the road, then surely it's just a process you have to go through. Let's find their information. Let's see how they did it successfully and copy it. It doesn't need to be difficult. It's just about finding that information.
Tim, do we have a holding slide which shows your website or email address or how people can reach you? Do we have a holding slide or a phone client? Sorry.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's great because it goes onto Facebook as well. Daryl, Tim, I want to say massive thanks for taking time out today. Daryl, just a quick one. I know I haven't got you prepared for a detailed interview, but funding is changing all the time at the moment because obviously COVID-19. So just anything for my audience on Facebook to note, because there's people on Facebook watching this right now. And just in case people don't know, you're from Lendwell. You were formerly at Shawbrook. I may get your title slightly wrong. Head of Product.
Yeah, I was head of Products and Markets at Shawbrook. Barclays before that. So I mean, won't give everyone kind of the long background. You probably heard it before, but 10 years doing property finance. So the challenge right now today is actually the practicalities of it. So it's very, very difficult to get a valuer out at the moment. The rules around non-essential outside travel. And I think property valuations definitely come into that. So I think for the next 3 weeks, until we find out whether the lockdown period gets extended, doesn't get extended, it's very difficult to get new deals done. However, what I would say is what I'm kind of spending my time on at the moment, if anyone's got any kind of property finance issues or delays with sites or worried about developments that are perhaps finishing, are you going to be able to sell them on time, all this kind of stuff, my phone is on, my email is on, happy to talk to people. There are still some options out there. There are still some products, although a bit limited, that use automated valuation models, desktop valuations. And there are still some lenders that will kind of use a retype of the valuation you might have had previously done on the property and this kind of thing. So there are some options out there, but it will be a tricky few weeks to deliver kind of new loans.
So, Daryl, how can I don't have a holding slide for you yet. I should do at some point. How can people reach you? Is it your email address is the best way?
Yeah, so my email is Daryl, DARYL .Norkett, NORKETT @lendwell.co.uk.
So just for the listeners out there who are listening and thinking, when's my next online session, which will both be aired on Facebook and also on Zoom, that's this afternoon with Richard Thorpe. The much more detailed, because this I promised would be 15 minutes, it's slightly longer than 15 minutes. But my longest session is on Thursday evening this week, which Daryl's part of, which is recession proof your property business. And then on Monday morning at 10 a.m. we have commercial. Huge interest last Friday. I was overwhelmed by the interest last Friday on commercial. So that's on Monday at 10 a.m. Tim, let me just try to get the video onto you. Any final words? So people can reach you online. I think there was a website which you shared just a few moments ago.
Sure.
So that's the best way to connect with you, Tim, by your email.
Sure. There's a book a demo facility on our website at the top right. So just click on that. That then goes into my calendar, and I can just arrange a time that suits you. As with everyone else, I'm at home, so just more than happy. If anybody wants to get me directly on email, it's simply tim@masterreports.co.uk. And yeah, we'd love to talk to anyone about any sites. I think really now is the time to be looking at desktop opportunities.
And Daryl, any final words from yourself? Let me just unmute you, or maybe have I muted you? Daryl, any final words? Oh, definitely. Sorry, Daryl. Any final words? Oh,
It's muted.
have I muted him? Sorry, Daryl. Just bear with me 2 moments. Any final words, Daryl?
I think you have muted me.
Yeah, no, you're there now.
All right, cool. Now my screen was kind of going crazy with you muted, you're unmuted, you're unmuted. And well, we'll talk more on the event on Thursday night, but I just kind of reiterate that message. If anyone is worried about property finance, worried about any of their existing facilities, please reach out. Very happy to lend my expertise to help. And it's a great opportunity to build some new relationships that I'm sure will be useful in the future too.
Okay. And for those of you listening to me on Facebook, I will be online tomorrow morning with Jay Harrod about 10 o'clock as well, who's a trader. And you never know, Daryl or Sam might join our call as well tomorrow, because I know a lot of the conversations at the moment are on the funding issue. So I just want to say massive thanks to Wasim Haworka from Pin Watford. So I follow what other networks do. Wasim, mortgage broker, been great to me. He's presented at my events for quite a few years. So massive thanks, because it's great that Wasim's opened his doors so I can, otherwise, to be fair, I would not have come across Tim Valder, or I don't know how you pronounce your surname, Tim. Valder? Valder.
It's a make-up name, don't worry.
Okay. Otherwise, I would not have come across you as far. So just another quick plug for Wasim Haworka from Pin Watford. So you presented at Pins as well, PPNs. I'm sure you present sometime at one of my physical events whenever that takes place. So massive thanks this morning for all of you joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.